And now, it's the Post Show with Pops and Kooky. A discussion about what you just heard on Limit Break Radio and Final Encountercast. LimitBreakRadio.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Post Show with Pops and Kooky and Skuro, but yeah, Skuro's here. Unfortunately, there's no Papa today, so I'm stuck with Skuro. Guys, help me, please. Oh, no, he actually had a work schedule change, so unfortunately he couldn't make it today. Sorry, guys. So go ahead and tweet him up at LenHeath1 and give him some love. Tell him you miss him. And Decibel's already saying mute Skuro. Oh well.
Or tell him, what the fuck, Papa? Make the time, bro.
I'm alright. Just kidding. he has work, so that's alright.
Yeah, I guess.
How are you doing, Skuro?
I'm not bad. How are you, Kooky?
I'm good. I know. I actually asked you how good are you?
I know.
What have you been doing this weekend?
I think nowadays it's gonna be the Skuro and Kooky show.
What? Get out.
Okay, so. Fine. I'll put you first. It's Kooky and Skuro show. You got it. All right.
No. It'll always be Pops and Kooky.
Okay.
And
whatever you
that
say.
guy over there.
That guy over there.
No. So what have you been doing lately? What have you been doing this week?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of just Overwatch and trying to get some 14 in. I've been trying to do more of that that casual rating shell, but it's been tough with these. Well, because I've been doing a casual rating shell.
Is it even successful? I doubt it. Only you and your mom, right?
Wow. Okay. I've actually gotten quite a few people that I've been surprised that have wanted to join, but it's more that my work schedule's been really shitty these last couple of days. We had someone who fucked up, and I had to pull overtime over the weekend, which sucked. So.
Well, okay. At least you're doing something in 14. I mean, I haven't even logged into 14 except for Jumbo Cagpot.
I was gonna say you need that Cagpot.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I do. I tried to go in and do the Yokai Watch event, but it's not working out for me at all. I don't want to sit there and grind fates. But
God, it really does drag, though.
It has been dragging. 14 has been dragging for me. So no biggies.
Have you done much of the deep dungeon though?
Deep dungeon? You know what? I've only done levels 1 through 10 only, and that was just me and Kelly. Yeah, that's all we've done. We haven't touched deep dungeon since then. That's how bad it is. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about 14 anymore. There has to be something else there that.
Or are you becoming a jaded gamer too?
Maybe. Well, that.
After they popped off shots of my diadem, oh my god, I lost my shit over Twitter on that one. What the fuck? Why is there I-235 gear when there's gonna be a new set of lore gear or tome gear?
235 and what? This is
it's
from
I-235 from Diadem, which on the thing it said exploratory.
Why are you still doing Diadem? You know it's irrelevant.
Because I want Diadem to be awesome, Kooky.
Get out.
I have hopes that maybe some 11-like content's going to be awesome in this game, and unfortunately, they just disappoint me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, see, Scorpio in the chat hasn't even done Deep Dungeon yet either, so there's just no way of 14 has anything.
I think it's worth doing. It's just really short-term content. I think, honestly, Yokai was a little more thought out than Deep Dungeon was.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole... They got the director of Yokai Watch there collaborating with Yoshi P, which I have to say it's kind of a cute anime cartoon thing. Yes, I've started watching it, and the main guy is actually named Nate too, so I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. So we are just gonna have one host on today's show. We're gonna have Mika. Mika, you there? Mika?
Best friend.
Oh, sorry, my mic wasn't unmuting. I'm here. Hi.
Oh my god.
Oh, hi.
Good job, Nika. How are you doing
Professional
today?
podcast is professional.
I know.
Well, I was muted and I pushed the button and I was like, "Hi guys," and then I'm like, "Why is no one hearing me?" And then I realized my mic was not unmuted. I'm here.
Yeah. Decibel says that you're getting Subway again. Is that it?
Oh my god, that was something that happened like years ago. That's not even. I was
Sure
like
if that
5
was the
minutes late
case.
getting back one time because I was getting Subway and there was traffic on the way back.
It's
Nika,
stuck now.
5 minutes.
It's stuck.
5
now.
minutes.
Yes. When the
That
show
was like
started
a
5 minutes late, I was 5 minutes
trek.
late. When the show starts is another story. But I was not back as late as they pretend I was.
So the live letter introduced a lot of things about. Well, Yoshi P talked about the whole rating scene. How bad is it with your rating group right now? Like, are you excited?
As soon as that article came out, my entire raid group was pretty upset because, as I was saying earlier on the show, like we have had no qualms with the difficulty of this tier. The only reason we haven't cleared it is literally because we haven't had the time or the scheduling. We've had to redo our raid group like 3 times with people leaving for one thing or the other, and it's just been like a hot mess of coordinating people. So we took way too long at A6 than we should have, not because of the difficulty. And so as soon as we saw that, we all just kind of like stopped and we're like, what? Like, what? Wait, is he playing the same game we're playing? Like, what? Who are these people that are saying that it's too hard exactly? Because it's not the Raiders.
Well, what tier are you on right now?
We're on A7, and we're probably we're halfway through it.
And it's been the same group consistently so far, or?
Well, now. I mean, every time we clear one, like when we cleared A5, we had to get new people, and then when we were like, I want to say when we were getting pretty close to clearing A6, like we had cleared the first 3 robots and we were about to start progressing on the 4th robot, we had 2 people quit, our Scholar and our Ninja. And we're like, oh shit, now we have to like start all over. But now that we've had a solid group since then, we're progressing pretty well into 7. So,
Are you playing Monk or Paladin?
Paladin for life.
Paladin.
Yeah,
Paladin
Sirens
for
are
life.
fun. Yep.
Even though
Sonya.
I know I was gonna say.
What?
It was like CERN would disown you if you stole his job.
Well, and also in raiding, it's not beneficial to have 2 of the same class because of the limit break, So.
How's the ability? What did you think of the ability nerfs that's coming up?
Well, we don't really know much about what we're going to see from that, and I don't know. It's like I was saying also on like FEC, I'm very optimistic and give benefit of the doubt until I see what happens. Like there's always so many people that throw salt around like, oh my god, I can't believe they're nerfing this, or I can't believe they're doing that. But in the grand scheme of things, if it makes the game more balanced, I'm not going to be one to sit here and bitch about it.
I know, but how do you deal with all of that negativity? How do you stay so positive with all the outlook that's coming up right now? Like
That's a good question, but I have a really positive outlook on life in general. Like I'm the kind of person that is always I'm a cup is half full, not half empty kind of person. So I mean, every day, like I mean, I went through some times in my life where I was pretty depressed and upset, but when I look back on it, I'm like, all of that has made me a so much better person today. And I'm the kind of person that like I don't have regrets. Because if I could go back and change things, then I wouldn't be the same person I am now. So that's kind of the same way I look at games. Like I figure that things that are happening are making it the game that it is now. And if all these things that people say were bad, well, if that stuff never existed, who knows what else we would have had? It could have been way worse. So I don't know. I just always have that positive outlook. I don't really know how to help others have a positive outlook, other than practicing it in your daily life too, as well as your gaming life.
Like, are you worried about the game becoming too easy though? Like when they're
Right.
talking about like
A little
nerfing the
bit.
abilities down, nerfing the rating, like
Does
does that even like just register to you?
It
about
does.
that?
It does.
Okay.
And that's mostly because, and I hate to like draw from WoW, but like when I look at the way WoW is, where they have 4 difficulties or something. They have like an easy, a normal, a hard, and a super duper crazy hard. Like what's wrong with having a super duper crazy hard difficulty that nobody can clear except for like 1% of the game? I don't see anything wrong with that. But there's something about the community of 14 that says if I can't do this, it's too hard. But I don't think that's true. I think that it's okay to have multiple difficulties. I just think that it missed the mark with story mode a little bit. Like I can be critical of things I like, okay? Just because I'm an optimist doesn't mean I don't know how to be critical. I can be critical, okay?
Doesn't mean you're not blind. Yeah.
I do think that they missed something. They missed something with story mode. Like they have 2 difficulties and it's great, but I think that having 3 or 4 or like some kind of middle tier where it still feels like really hard challenge, and then they're like, okay, kind of like how Savage Coil was. nobody did it unless they were the super hardcore who want. I mean, granted, the rewards were bad, but I think that
or you wanted the title.
right.
The title
I
was
feel
the
like you
same.
can still have super duper hard content with a super duper good reward that only the super duper best players can clear, and I think that's fine as long as you have something that satisfies the mid to lower hardcore-ish players who don't want to go for the world first extreme crap. Then there's nothing that really fills that gap right now in 14, and I think that's what they're missing.
But
So-
Yeah.
I feel like that's also like the way they develop the jobs. It's meant to include everyone. So having that kind of philosophy in this game, I mean, do you feel like that kind of incentivizes that kind of thought? Because when you compare it to like 11, you had salvage. There's people that didn't do salvage because they didn't have a class that you could actually do it with, and you could not get a group for like the life of you. Or
I mean,
there's
like,
absolute
yes,
virtue
no.
where you just never did it because the boss was so damn hard. Like you just didn't do it.
You can say you never did it, but my Link Shell did it every week. We tried it. We
Wait,
would
like
try all
salvage
these
or-
no absolute virtue.
Oh yeah, no, I mean people still tried it though.
I
Like, I would say people even did it more than the 14
stupid
raids.
crack theories, and then we would have like one person on a mule, a level 1 mule that would like run the boss out and die, and then raise and run it out and die so that it wouldn't depop. Well, we would go back and change jobs to try a new theory. Like we tried absolute virtue, and then there was that period of time where it was killable with Kraken Club and Chainspell Sun, and I did get a Minerva's ring from absolute virtue, so it was a thing.
Are you admitting to cheesing absolute?
I know. I was gonna say.
Wow.
They nerfed it. They nerfed it to a point where it became just like every other NM, and you could Chainspell Stun and beat it down with Kraken Club Dark Knights. And I did get a Minerva's ring during that time period, and then they unnerfed it and buffed it again. And it was no longer killable.
Did you also log off during Pandemonium Warden?
Okay,
Oh my gosh.
you know
Okay.
that I was that, and that was our strategy. But we eventually, I can't remember the exact strategy, what it was, but if you had a whole separate party that was in the very, very back corner and had no aggro on the boss, Astroflow didn't hit them. So then you would just go in with that party after Astroflow killed everybody else.
Yeah, I heard you
I
basically
don't know if-
zombied it.
That's even the right strategy, but that's all we could think of.
Okay.
I don't.
Decibels in chat is asking, what if they made the rewards for this super duper hard mode gear that was best in slot for 2 patches, so only the few elite can benefit from it without being broken? Is that possible? Do you think so in this game?
I think so, and that's kind of what Anira was saying too. Whereas, if there's something that's super super good that would be worthwhile for more than they currently are, more people are likely to try it. But then you know what would happen is if it was best in slot for that long, that many people would be like, well, that's not fair. We should be able to get it too. And then it would just start the cycle all over again. So it's really hard to say with the community that this game is built that it would actually work out. And if you think about it, gear is already good for 2 patches. So the people who complain that 3 months down the road your gear's getting replaced is not true, because they only raise the eye level every other patch. That means they're raising the eye level every 6 months. The gear that you get from Alexander or from Tomes is good for 6 months. And I don't think people understand really that the gear is not being replaced as fast as they think it is. Having gear that's good for 6 months in a game that's linear progression like this is pretty good in my opinion. Because
I
people
think-
are keeping it for 6 months.
I just think that, yes, the community against, like Decibel says, I am part of that community where it's like, okay, they're probably going to nerf this content anyway, so I better just wait until then. Like the patch that just came out with the relic nerf, I'm happy I can actually get my relic now because I don't have to grind so much.
See, I'm of the community that's kind of like, well, they're going to nerf this, so I have to make sure I beat it before they nerf it so that I can say that I did it.
She needs that EP.
Yeah, but, like,
Yes, people-
people-
I mean, I just don't want to be the kind of player that is the one who waits for everything to be easy for me. Like I want,
Yeah.
like Yoshi said, that people should enjoy doing, completing hard content and the challenge of doing it with 7 other people, and that's how I look at it. I'm actually a little
And then
bit
so
sad
just
that they
gonna nerf
nerfed, they
Yeah,
nerfed
yeah, exactly.
6. They nerfed A6 the day after we beat A5. So we never got to try it, and I'm really sad.
Like hearing that article, I just was so frustrated because, like, you know, he gets it. You know, he gets it enough to be able to say, okay, you know, when you complete it with 7 other people, it's a great feeling that you cleared like really savage, you know, hard content. But then it's like, oh hey, we feel like the divide is too great between our players and the hardcore players, so let's just make it easier. Like that's the complete opposite of what you just said. It's the same thing with the warrior nerfs being like, you know, oh, it's operating as intended, but you know what? It's too good. Let's actually nerf it.
Well,
What
see,
the hell?
if you heard what I was saying during that too, I had a little bit of an optimistic viewpoint where I was saying that, well, maybe that just means they're going to buff the other jobs.
Oh man.
I mean,
Optimism.
we don't really know. Square Enix is king of being vague, and we know that. So because they're pointing out that Scholar and Warrior have advantages compared to the other two healers and tanks, does not necessarily mean nerf, 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 right? We don't know what this means. So you just have to wait and see
it.
where you judge. Like, I will be salty if they really do make it horrible. But as of right now, like, from a few vague words, I'm not going to bitch about it.
I'm
Did
just
they
kinda
say the
hoping there's
creator?
a language barrier.
Did they
Like,
say
I'm
that?
really hoping.
Shut up, Skuro. I'm trying to
Sorry,
talk.
My bad. Good.
Get out. Did they say the creator is going to be story gated at all, or no?
I
The
don't
next
think so.
tier.
No,
Probably not.
that was something that we were kind of. I don't know. Like the Alexander, I think they made a mistake by either not tying it into the story, the main story, or like not doing it. I don't know. I feel like what they should have done is the Warring Triad should have been the raid tiers, in my opinion. They should have somehow made it so that way it feels like it's more connected to the main story. Because even though the
actually
Warring
makes more
Triad's
sense.
not the main story, it feels like it's tied in more. Whereas Alexander is literally just this rising thing in the middle of the water that we hear has all this possible scary things that could happen, but it doesn't really feel like any scary things are
Because
gonna happen.
technically he's a primal too, right? So
He was sealed away in that lake years and years ago by ancient people of Charlayan, and now he's coming out. And so the people who lived in Charlayan and grew up with the fairy tales of like this horrible things in the sea are terrified, and we don't really feel that feeling that they feel because we don't really feel any imminent danger. Whereas with the Warring Triad, even though we don't get very much of it, we feel imminent danger. So I think it would have been cool if that was the raid tier instead of just throwing
I
out
kinda like that idea.
nowhere. Yeah.
So
But
it is the. Go ahead, Scarlet.
No, I was just saying
I
instead
just like the idea of. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
no,
I also like the idea of actually making like the armor like to where it's like relic weapons, except for you're always having to like upgrade it, so you have to do all the different Savage content. So
I think
you don't just get like one bit of Savage content that's so good, and then all of a sudden the next one comes out and completely phases it out. Like you have to get your gear from that set and progress to the next part, and you upgrade it through the books,
I
and then
like that a
basically
lot.
do that next step.
because that way you'd have to do the old content. Like they wouldn't gate it. Like you could go ahead and do it, but the thing is that without the previous gear, it would be almost
Right.
useless. And I think that's a good way to keep it relevant. Even once they nerf it and put an echo in, and you're like, well, there's really no reason to go back and do it. Then there is, and I honestly think that that's what they should have done with Midas Normal. That's kind of what they made, or not Midas Normal, but Gordius Normal. When the normal mode first came out, they made it sound like you were going to have to do normal to do Savage, and that way people were going to keep going back into normal mode to get their gear to upgrade into Savage mode. And I think that would have been a good way to keep normal mode relevant, especially for the casual players, but that didn't happen. So
But all it was just a TPS check for like the whole Alex thing in the beginning. So I think they still failed on that part.
yeah,
Like I don't even feel like doing it because of all that DPS check, and it started that whole API thing that's going on.
Are you talking about like the normal version or the Savage version, Cookie?
Both,
Okay, both.
yeah.
I mean,
I don't
sort
know.
of. The normal mode doesn't have as hard of a DPS check as you might think. Like normal mode can
Yeah.
be done with the Duty Finder group with very little issues. It's the only one people really struggle with in Duty Finder is A7 normal mode, and I think that's more because there's just a lot of things to pay attention to that are happening in different parts of the field that you might not notice. And also takes a little bit more situational awareness than your average pug is used to. But I'm hoping that the most recent Weeping City has kind of put people more into perspective. I don't know. This community has just become so accustomed to just getting what they want or just getting things handed to them. And I don't think it's just FF14. Like Nero said on a previous show that it's the modern MMO gaming style, the modern MMO gaming communities are just accustomed to this quick result, quick reward, like quick battles,
That's very
everything you
true.
just get. And so that's 14 is trying to keep up with that. Whereas I'm sure it's okay to slow things and pull things back once in a while. And I don't think they quite see the right areas where that should be put in at this point in
I'm
time.
just worried that we're not going to see something as difficult as Mahawk, though. Like, I'm worried that that's going to be like the last little like saving bastion of it, and then after that, it's going to be all easy ass content.
Yeah, I think
You know,
some of
that's
the
my
places
biggest concern.
had too much HP personally, but I think the difficulty of Weeping City was perfect.
It was perfect.
enough that
I loved
you can't carry people. Like, people can't just look away from the screen and win because there are mechanics that could be on you that could kill people. Like, I think it's a nice middle ground for casuals to understand what the heck mechanics are and how to have accountability. Like, there is no accountability for casuals in this, to understand how to play the game and play the challenge. So then as soon as they have accountability, it's too hard. And that's, I mean, that's the problem. So I don't know. Gosh, it's so hard because so many people just say things are so hard when really they just don't want to put the effort in to get better. And I know, like, I'm so upset I was not on that episode when Joe Never Fails called in. And I'm actually very glad that he called in to be the voice that I wasn't.
See, and I figured if anyone, you would have been like right there with Joe, like hand in hand.
I know, like, I was so glad when I heard he called in because I'm like, you know what? When I heard the topic for that show, and I'm like, you know, I'm not there, and it's going to be this whole just a salt flood of everything coming out of them about how negative they are about this. But I mean, my philosophy, and it's not just an optimistic philosophy, it's a real gaming philosophy, that if you're going to play a game, whether it's an MMO, a single player game, an FPS, whatever it is, when you play a game, you want to be good at it, right?
Right.
Like, are you going to sit at a one-player game and scream that, this game's too hard, I'm going to call the company and tell them to nerf it in a patch? No, you're not. You're just going to reset your game, try again, and do it again until you get better, until you complete it. So why is it that in MMOs, people think they're so entitled that the game should cater to them rather than them trying to, you know, get good? Like, it's really silly. And get good is not trying to be, you know, like, condescending. It's literally saying, why are you playing a game if you just want them to hand it to you? Why are you paying $13 a month for them to give you stuff? Like, that's not what it's not a game in that sense. It's just, what is it? It's not even a game.
Well, at that point, just do microtransactions. You know, because you might as well just buy the content at that point.
That's called the cash shop.
Like, they want to get the story. Like, then I don't know. It bothers me when people say that there's nothing to do in this game or the things are too hard. I'm like, they're not that hard. If people are clearing them, they're possible. Okay? If there are people clearing any part of the content, you can clear it too. You just have to put in the effort and the amount of care to actually work at it and get better at the game. Like, I mean, imagine when Titan Hard mode came out, like back when relics first were a thing, right? The very beginning of 2.0, that shit was hard, right? People could not dodge. People could not do DPS. Like, everything was horrible. Like, Surin spent, what was it, Extra Life that year? I want to say he spent like 20 out of 24 hours just doing Titan Hard for his relic. He spent almost the entire Extra Life doing it. What?
Wow.
I'm not trying
Not because it's hard.
Stop. It was back then because people didn't know how to play. And then look, people learned, people got better, and now people know how to dodge. It's a thing. It's expected now that we're going to have to dodge, right? It's part of this game. Like, that was the first boss in the game that had anything to do with that. And now that everybody learned, like, oh yeah, that's so easy. Like, you just have to learn and grow from it. And so people who are sitting here bitching that it's too hard, grow some balls. I don't understand people who say that this shit's too hard. Like,
balls.
Like, if this game's too hard for you, please go find another game, because this is not the game for you. That's all I've got to say.
I hate to agree with Skuro, but this game is being catered to the casuals of the gaming community. It's for something new. It's not like the 11 days anymore. I know there's not a lot of people who have played 11 who plays 14 now, so they don't understand that kind of 11 mentality that you and Nero has, or that we have, because I know I played 11 too. I did like the difficulty of it, but it's just, I don't have the time to either on this game because of real life problems. But
when you think about it, what kind of difficulty did 11 actually have? Okay, they had really, really long quests and really, really long grinds that took months or years to complete based on what you were doing. They had fights that required 70 people to be able to meet a DPS check before an enrage. They had mechanics where you can't stand in front of a boss or you'll get hit with a cleave. But other than that, did 11 really have difficulty?
Okay, see, but when you think about, like, okay, when you got to pull certain mobs, or else you're going to pull the whole damn zone, wipe yourself. If you don't do a certain mechanic right, which you're standing on this pillar, it could wipe the whole damn thing, could fuck up your whole stuff. Like, there was things about it that were just so
You're right. There was strategy you had to learn and be more creative with.
Right.
That was a little
creative
bit
within a limited system.
Yes.
Whereas with like this stuff, it's like, why the hell do we not have anything more than a mob grind? Like, outside of raiding content, where I will say, like, you know, like things like Thornton EX, like, I fucking love that fight. Like, that to me is like the pinnacle of all primals. Yeah, it's amazing.
I still need to get my clear.
I also think Sephiroth was pretty great.
I think it was pretty good too. You know, like to me, it wasn't quite to where like because Thornton EX, like when you clear that like those wombo combos, like you feel fucking amazing. And I've never gotten that in any other fight in this game so far. And I would love to get that feeling again, but it's just like outside of raiding content, like you just don't have like those crazy mechanics that you're constantly having to dodge. It's, oh hey, kill this set of mobs, kill these set of mobs, kill this boss. And it's a continuous thing that's like, you know, how is it that a game this complex, this much sexy graphics, amazing emotion, like motions and everything, and it can't do any of that? Like, how the hell is that possible?
So do you think with like 4.0 they have to like change it back to 2.0? Like,
no. I think
with
honestly
4.0 they need to change it. They need to change I feel like they just need to change a lot. I don't think they need to do what WoW does, where they completely rewrite the entire game every expansion. But I think that they definitely need to change the core mechanics of the way the job plays going forward, like the way the games play in general.
Like, let me ask you something. Okay, so if 2.0 came out and there was no 1.0, it came out right after 11.
right.
You think it would have been nearly as successful?
I think so.
Yes.
I don't, honestly.
Really?
Because it literally was like a WoW clone. Like, there's so much of it that reminded me so much of WoW that
No.
at the
No.
time it was great because it
No.
followed 1.0, but it wasn't like nearly as much as like what 11 was.
No,
Even
it
in its
was
prime.
not like it was not like a WoW clone. Not even a long shot. Like, not at all. Like, the Final Fantasy 14 2.0 still kept that the Final Fantasy love that you have, but it also introduces a great storyline in 2.0. It introduces a great dungeon and primal system that everyone loves to do, but like now we're into the 3.0. Nobody likes anything that came out right now. So,
True, but you also had vertical scaling gear that phased out every damn time, and on top of that, like, it's just I don't know. For me, the primals have been great, but they didn't nearly get to the systems like Nyzul and Salvage. Just didn't even
Okay.
touch those.
whatever, Sarah.
No,
Mika?
I mean, I agree that there is something lacking in variety, and I'm hoping that 4.0 can change that. Like, I like the difficulty of the current raids. I like a lot of the systems in this game, but I do think that there is no variety in the types of raiding that there is. Like, I mean, when I was talking about my experience on 11, and everyone's like, man, you play much different 11 than I played, but that's because there was so much in 11 that was considered end game that you could do. Whereas in this,
True.
end game is only one thing. You know,
like
there's
one
not
facet.
there's not a variety. You're not going to have link, like back then you had link shells that did everything, which like mine, you had link shells that would just focus on ground kings. Then you would have a link shell for Sky, you'd have a link shell for Dynamis, you'd have a link shell for Sea, you'd have a link shell for Salvage, you had a link shell for every individual end game thing that there was to do. Whereas you won't see that in this.
No, I think, yeah, that's definitely it. Because, like, before I actually switched to Sargatanas with Balmung, I actually had an FC that helped me do these kind of raids with the coils and the primals. I actually had people that would help me do this kind of thing. But sorry, Sargatanas, I love you guys, but I don't really have anyone to do it with. Like, I don't have the motivation to do it in this server for some reason. I don't know why, but it just the same way. But
I guess
Albiarma, you heard it. Kooky needs people. Reach out.
Yeah. Well, because here's the thing: like, Kooky logs in, and she just like ninja logs in. She doesn't say hi. She'll just chill
Yeah.
there.
yeah,
And people are like, "Oh my God, the Kooky logged in! Wow, that's so cool! Kooky, what are you doing? Kooky, how are you doing? Blah blah."
that's
And
not
Kookie's
true.
just like, "Yeah, I guess it's pretty cool. Do you guys want to run some roulettes? Whatever,
Get
I
out.
guess." But I think
Yeah.
honestly, if Kooky got more involved with some things, I think that you'd probably have a lot more fun.
I don't know. It just seems like it's kind of empty in Sargatanas. I think that's why.
That blows my mind, but I agree. Like, Sargatanas is a full server most times of the day. Like, you can log in, like, I'll randomly log in and get a queue, or if you try to create a character, it will be closed. But for whatever reason, like, nobody does anything on our server. Our party finder has, like, 3 at
Yeah.
any given moment in time. And, like, even during prime time, it has, like, 7 things. 2 of them are fake grinding. 2 of them are free company recruiting. One's a static recruiting. Then there's, like, 1 pony farm and, like, 1 primal learning party. And that's it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on? Like, our group has actually considered transferring servers, and I'm like, but I can't leave LBR. And they're like, well, you can make an alt and level it up to play with LBR and transfer your main, just so we can have more people to do endgame with, because there is nothing on this server.
Thank you.
And-
Yes, I totally agree
Yeah.
with that because Stark and Towns does have nothing on the Party Finder. And then I look over at Pelly at his Party Finder in Balmung and it's like full, just full. There's like there's a few pony farms, which I
True.
totally love. They have like, Savage Raids going up. They have Fates parties going up. They have
But
Hunts
honestly,
still going up.
you have to take Balmung's Party Finder with a grain of salt, though, because I've done that Party Finder and it is fucking miserable.
No,
I can't
it's not.
stand Yeah, I can't.
That's how I
stand
did my stuff over there.
I can't stand Balmung's Party Finder or its players. Just I can't.
We can't stand you
We had some
anyway.
really bad experiences, but
No.
Balmung.
Get out. Anyway, I think we're gonna wrap up soon here. What about Final Fantasy 15? How hyped are you, Nika?
I hate. Okay, as much as I love being on these shows and being with my bros and talking about these things, there is so much salt that flows between the LBR and FTC cast that I can't even get a word in edgewise without them just telling me to shut up, which is
Garrett.
really annoying in a certain aspect because it's like Robbie was going on and on saying about how he's so hype about Mass Effect because there's been nothing so far to say that it's not going to be good, and he's going to wait for that stuff before, and with FF15, look at everything that's come out about it, okay? There's been a few things that make you question, but out of everything they've put out, there is way more that leans towards it being good than being bad. And so anyone who sits here can say, no, it's definitely has a more potential to be bad than be good. Why? I don't understand why. I understand Square Enix doesn't have the best track record, but what purpose does it serve you to be pessimistic about a game release? Like, wait for it to come out, see it for yourself, see what if you don't want to buy it right away, fine, see what other people are saying. But judging it so harshly before it comes out, I would rather be hype. I would rather be hyped just because it's more fun to be hype about something. I like being part of a group of people that are like, yes, I'm going to go see this movie. Yes, this is so awesome. Oh my God, look at those graphics. This is the coolest thing ever. I can't wait for this game. This is going to be so awesome. Rather than sitting and going, yeah, this looks like shit. I can't believe Square Enix is going to do a shitty game like this. It doesn't even look like a Final Fantasy game. I can't believe they're taking out my turn-based battle system. I can't believe that which one is more fun, right? Being part of a group and being part of the hype is more fun. So that's the way I choose to look at things. I'm not going to purposefully look at something that has potential to be good and look at only the bad and blow that up.
So, are you excited about Metal Gear Survive? I mean, they changed it too, and they added zombies. How awesome is that?
Okay, here's the thing. Once I heard that it was only going to be $40, not $60, or maybe even $30. It's
Are you
I don't know.
Play it?
I'm so good. I'm not going to pre-order it. This is something that has high chance of being bad based on what we've seen so far. Okay. Mm-hmm. They have said there will be sneaking in it. Once they said that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait until I see some gameplay. Give it, this is something I'm not hyped for. I do see the potential for it to be horrible. And there's nothing even beneficial about being hype about it, so there's no fun in it, even if I was hype.
What if they put a big boss figurine in this collector's edition of Metal Gear Survive?
I would find a way to buy the figure separately. The thing is, if it comes out and it has great reviews, I'll play it, sure. But I don't know.
It's kind of the same
It's
thing,
something
right?
that if it comes out and it actually has sneaking in it, and you actually fight Metal Gears in it, and I can team up with Surin and take down a big Metal Gear. Okay, I'll give it a chance. But I don't see that happening. And the thing is that I also have so many more optimistic ideas that if Konami literally would have just remade Metal Gear Solid 3 in the Fox engine, which we know they can do because they did it for fucking Pachinko, that everybody would have been happy and everybody would have bought it and they would have just thrown their money at them and Konami would have had so much money. But instead, they decided to just make this up. I don't even know. So, I mean, I could also be eating my words, but I feel like Nero is one of those people that will never see this as a good thing, even if it's a good game. I will give it a chance if it gets good reviews. However, I don't know. It's not the same. FF15 has so much in its world and in its universe, and there's so much that's been good. Like Kingsglaive had some flaws, yes, in its storytelling, and the beginning was a little bit rushed, and I understand that. But as a whole, it was a fantastic movie. It sets up the world to be fantastic and awesome, and just being part of the hype is so much fun. And like even in the movie theater at the end, like there's a little cutscene after the credits where it shows them in their car, like going down the road, and the car breaks down, which is exactly where the gameplay picked up at Gamescom. Like, it was the same exact video, and it led right up into that. The entire theater just burst into cheers, and it was just the coolest feeling to be part of a community that's all there for this particular game, and it was just so cool. Like, why would the guys purposefully exclude themselves from fun like that? I don't understand. It's just so much fun part of this.
I think it's the fact that they're pushing this like big universe so early before the game's even out. Like a lot of the stuff like that follows a game before, like it doesn't like predate the game.
It's too much for just one game. Yeah. To me, that's what I think it is.
Maybe, but like we know, this is make or break for them, and
it feels like the Hail Mary, basically.
Maybe, but I think it's fun. Like, being like the movie was good, the anime is good. Screw Juxta, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like the universe is so large and expansive that I think it's cool that they're giving us little sneak peeks here and there before we actually see the game itself. Like I mean, all it's doing is making me more hype. Like if I hadn't seen this movie and if there wasn't an anime and if they didn't have a big reveal event for it, I'd probably be kind of like, well, like it was 13. Who knows what 15 will be? I don't think I would be as hyped. This is really working for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a producer's, like dream that I'm just eating everything up. But like
you're LBR's bundle of joy. There we go. We'll leave it at that then.
That I can be that.
You're the optimistic one.
I will always be that. Count on me.
All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I think Nika, you gotta go get a raid group going right now.
This week because we didn't raid one day during the week, so we're raiding today.
All right, go get them.
All right, I will. We'll see.
All right, this will do it for the post show. You can follow us at limitbreakradio.com, facebook.com/limitbreakradio, twitter.com/limitbreakradio. Make sure you also follow finalencountercast.com, facebook.com/finalencountercast, twitter.com/FEC podcast. You can also follow Papa Woody. Give him some love. Tell him we miss him instead of Skuro at LenHeath1. You can follow me at Cookie Persona. Skuro, go ahead. What's yours?
FXIV_Skuro.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I love you threw out Papa Woody, who's not even here first. Whatever.
Well, we love Papa Woody, that's why. Anyway, you can catch the post show at patreon.com/limitbreakradio. Just $1 helps. Go ahead and drop in $1. You will also get, the sneak peek of what Nate, Robbie, and Callie are going to be doing. That'll be a good time. All right, guys. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. Well, actually,
see you all later.
Yep. See you.